Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Preston, for being here today. I always start my discussion thanking you and thanking some of your staff there in the administration for the detailed information that you give to us about our home districts. We sit here today and we're allocating monies throughout this Commonwealth trying to establish a budget here in Harrisburg, but on the average through the last several years, I can tell you that in the 139th district, approximately $3 million in grants are distributed to approximately 1,000 students. Representative Dean talked about 900, something of that nature, but these are hard dollars, $3,000 a student coming back to our district. So this is great information, and it's important to my district. The breakdown of information is also very interesting. When you look at, I'm just going to read a few, but the schools, University of Scranton, Lehigh University, Bloomsburg University, Penn State University Park, Misericordia, Marywood University, Indiana University of Pennsylvania, Kutztown. Now this is 21 pages long. What it really shows you is that our students are having the ability to go where they would like to go to further their education. We have a great system, a higher education system, school system in this Commonwealth. We have a great state-related system in this Commonwealth. But I think sometimes we neglect those quality independent colleges and universities who are also in this Commonwealth, and we're giving, with the addition of a Pell Grant, we're giving the opportunity to some of my constituents and constituents who, according to some of your goals as an organization, to protect the educational opportunity for those who are most economically disadvantaged. Do you just want to make a comment on your feeling here? And we talk a lot about education, how the money follows the student, but what I like about this grant program is that the money follows the student, and if there's a student in Pennsylvania that would like to go to any three of those type of schools, there is a good start for them to get there.
You're really going to the heart of our mission. Our mission is access and choice in the Commonwealth for Pennsylvania students and families, as well as making sure our doors are open to all the sectors in the Commonwealth, the private schools, the public schools, and let them make those choices in terms of programs as well as cost and other choice. This is something that we try to address in a number of ways. One is we have 15 people that go through the Commonwealth and try to demystify how you go to college. And a lot of folks are terrified by it. They're afraid of taking the first step. What do I do? And I think what we try to do is position ourselves as supplementing the efforts of the high schools, but we have to take a more active role, and that's why we go out in the communities and have all these meetings. We supplement that with not only printed material that we send to help talk about the calendar of events that will occur if you're a senior in high school or a junior in high school, but we also build online training tools that are free. Everything we do is free for the Commonwealth. YouCanDealWithIt.com, Education Planner, and one of our more recent ones, My Smart Borrowing. What do people need to know before they borrow? We're going to go to an iteration of My Smart Borrowing 2 soon, and eventually we're actually starting to work on My Smart Borrowing 3, because the importance of trying to get this message out is very important to people, and all the things that we do are trying to answer those questions so everybody in your district or throughout the Commonwealth has enough information to make those choices and to have access to any institution he wants to go. And between the state grant program, our other special programs, and the Pell Grant, we give them a head start. We really do. And probably much better in this Commonwealth than in many other states because they don't have a PHEAA. And they don't have the support that we can bring.
It's great to see the list of students and just where they live, and to think that child has the opportunity to go to a Lehigh or a Penn or a Penn State. It's just wonderful. I know some of these families, and it's a wonderful feeling to know that these children are excelling in academics and have that ability. So thank you. Real quick, I want to change my focus a little bit over to the business lines at PHEAA. On page 8 of your testimony, you talk a little bit about the federal loan processing contract at PHEAA. You talk about the growth. You've gone from the student loan portfolio has grown from $184 billion for 6.9 million borrowers up to $214 billion for 7.2 million borrowers as of January of 2015. I guess my first question is, will this growth continue into the future, and how long do you see that growth to continue?
We certainly had an awful lot of growth over the last 7-8 years. I think in 2007 we had approximately 2,200 employees, and we're probably managing $135 billion of assets. When I say that, I mean all student loans on our remote customers. We lease our technology out to other customers, and we also have the guarantee function, which we bill. All these we bill monthly for. That, in aggregate, is about $351 billion now. Back in 07, it was probably $135 billion. So we've had a lot of growth as we've gone through this, and what we have to do is just try to manage it properly now. I'm hoping it calms down a little bit because we have to really staff up and manage this appropriately, but we are in an industry that continues to consolidate, both in guarantees, servicers, and I'm not quite sure where it's going to go, but we are in a good position because of the growth and the investments we've made and the board has made over the years.
My concern is this: you talked about the $91 million that you helped, fund the Commonwealth's programs. And I think this year we've asked for $25 million more. I guess my question is this: will PHEAA be able to contribute this level of earnings back to the Commonwealth? Because I think it started at 75 several years ago, 75 million, and I know our chairman here obviously is the chairman there, so there's a direct relationship there of working very closely with the numbers. But it just seems like we've gone from 75 to 91. Now our expectations are up to 117. For forecasting, will PHEAA be able to contribute the 117 this year? I guess the additional 25 million, and will they be able to sustain that into the future? My concern is at some point this growth may flatten out. The federal government, as far as the contracts, are looking at those contracts and tightening the margins on those contracts. So maybe if you could just help us, see into the future a little bit, I'd appreciate that.
Let me try to address that. We're not a monopoly. We're a competitive organization that competes for every contract we have every day. If we don't do our job every day, those contracts go away. So we have to be, as you say, very careful and very competitive, and the margins are very narrow. But having said that, we also have some experience in trying to do this and manage it, and that's our big challenge right now. We went through the growth stage, and now we have to manage it. And hard to tell what the federal government's going to do on any contract at any time, but we're making the investments that we need to make to keep going. I know the margins are going to narrow this year for a number of things that the federal government has done, but I do think that and I haven't had a chance to talk to the board yet, but if we're talking about this year, 15-16, the next budget year, I think we could do that. And after that, it's a matter of taking a look at that time. But sustainability is, of course, one of the things the board's always concerned about in terms of funding this. And I can't really look beyond more than a year at this time. But I would say that if the board wanted to do that, we could handle it for next year.
So you're confident for next year? I guess a lot depends on the contract and the terms of the contract in the future?
Right.
Okay, thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.